ResortLoop.com is proud to be sponsored by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. Joffrey's now offers coffee subscriptions. You can order a 3, 6, or 12-month subscription. You can choose from 3 collections: the Flavored Coffee Collection, the Roastmasters Collection, or the Disney Signature Coffee Collection. Each collection includes 3 bags per month. With the Joffrey's Coffee subscriptions, never run out of great coffee again. Learn more and order at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The body of water that you see to the right of our forward motion is the Seven Seas Lagoon. The Seven Seas Lagoon is a man-made creation that took 3 years and the removal of millions of cubic yards of earth to complete.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. This is ResortLoop.com, the gateway to the magic. Before we get to the show, I want to let you know this is the Seasons of Possibilities sale at Joffrey's coming up this weekend and every weekend leading up to Cyber Monday. This weekend, November 20th to the 22nd, flavored coffees and the flavored gift sets are on sale at Joffreys.com. Put on your calendar next weekend, November 27th through the 29th. 30% off single serve cups and goods and tea sachets. And then Cyber Monday, November 30th. 30% off Disney Specialty Coffee Collection coffees and the gift sets. So Disney Specialty Coffees, if you want that one, Cyber Monday, November 30th, 30% off. So that's the best deal you're going to get all year long, normally, the 30% off. I'm going to capitalize on it. I hope you do too. Let's get to the show. Joining us right now, Super Looper, friend of the show. We're going to talk about his upcoming trip, and I think we're going to have a special little discussion on some COVID, and he's kind of an expert in that area. Joining us right now is Brian. Thanks for joining us on the show, Brian.
Hey, Tim.
You're a huge Disney fan. You're taking a trip. I want to hear, before we get into what you're going to be doing here soon, your recent trip, what's your Disney story? How'd you become a fan? Is your whole family Disney fans? What's going on?
Oh, yeah. No, we're all diehard Disney fans. So it's myself, my wife, Christy, got a 14-year-old son, Mark, a 10-year-old daughter, Molly, and a 6-year-old son, Luke. And, like everybody else, I remember my first trip as a kid. Actually, my only trip as a kid. My wife does too. But I think the trip you remember the most for me is that first trip with one of your own children. And that was with Mark when he was 3. And we spent about 2 days at Disney. And I think that, I like being around positive people, work in a very positive work environment with some just great individuals. Mm-hmm. I just remember walking in down Main Street, looking at my wife and saying, God, everybody is so happy. And then you these cast members that say, 25 years, 30 years or whatever, and they're just happy as can be and trying to make you have a great day. I remember that like it was yesterday. But our first big trip as a family was at the Grand Floridian when my youngest was 2, 6, and 10. It would have been the age of the kids. And we stayed at the Grand Floridian. We kind of went all in, had a balcony with the view of the Magic Kingdom. So we watched the fireworks at night. And, that 7 days was just an absolute game changer for us. And one of the funny things happened on that trip is we're all set to leave. And at the last minute, I couldn't go. I had a board meeting I had to attend that kind of came up out of nowhere. So my wife said, well, I'm still going. And she took Mark, our oldest, and our middle-aged Molly. And I stayed for one extra day at home with Luke, my youngest. And thank goodness I actually stayed home with him because I came home from the board meeting and I go down in our basement and there's this big puddle of water. Well, our wash machine hose had a leak. And had we been gone, I went to see that and I can't even imagine what would have happened in our basement with that thing running the whole time. But so I jump on a plane with our 2-year-old. We get to Grand Floridian probably around like 5 o'clock. Christy and the kids are over at Epcot. And I remember like it was yesterday going up to the room. They take all your luggage up there. We didn't even unpack. We jumped on the monorail at the Grand Floridian. The next thing you know, like we're pulling into Epcot to meet them in Mexico for dinner. And that whole experience, just, from going from work to the Grand Floridian to being on the monorail to going to the future and then ending up in a country, I mean, it really set the tone for just an amazing week. And we've been pretty much diehards ever since. It's just been an awesome experience.
Oh, that's awesome. The kids are all in. They always look forward to it.
Oh, yeah. So So after that trip, it became sort of, let's not go once a year. We ended up getting down there probably on average like 3 times a year. And I figured out a way to do it that it's probably a good thing to share here. So I travel a lot with my business, and we're all in on Marriott, like our Marriott Visa, Marriott points and all that. Every dollar we spend goes on the Marriott Visa. And the next time we went down, I learned that the Dolphin or the Swan, which are right there, near the boardwalk, they're actually Disney hotels. They come with all the Disney perks, the 60 plus day fast passes and the dining and all that great stuff. So we started using our points that we were accumulating from Marriott to stay there for basically nothing. And that just became a whole experience where, we were going 2 or 3 times a year and staying at the Dolphin, and we got to know the staff there, but then walking over to the boardwalk and having dinner the night we get there, and then that immediate access to Epcot. And it just ended up being, the kids just fell in love with it. They actually really like Epcot, which for kids isn't always the case, but they just love Epcot. And that's kind of how we did Disney for probably a good 3 or 4 years. And then we were at the Magic Kingdom one afternoon and kind of burned out. We needed a little break, so we jumped on a boat over to the Wilderness Lodge to have lunch at Geyser Point, which if you've never been there, it's absolutely incredible.
It's amazing.
It's an awesome restaurant. What's so great about it is you can go over there and just chill out on these couches. And we had a cocktail, and the kids ordered food, and we're sitting there. I'm like, this is incredible, Chris. And it's like, this is amazing. And that kind of led from one thing to the next. And we ended up investing in Copper Creek villas, our cabins and villas. And now we're, Disney Vacation Club owners and, getting into that phase of our Disney life.
Oh, that's awesome. So how long have you been DVC members then?
We just finished, so we're, about 1.5 years now. We've been DVC members. Yeah. So after Geyser Point, we decided to all in on DVC, and we've been DVC for about 1.5 years now. We've had a weekend or weekday at the Grand Floridian. That was great. Staying at those villas. The villas are absolutely incredible. I thought the hotel part was amazing, but the villa is a whole nother experience. And then we've done a couple times at Copper Creek, and equally amazing. And we're really happy with our choice at Copper Creek. I think our upcoming trip, just given the pandemic, it's nice at a resort like that. There's so much to do, and it's so relaxing. Not necessarily the Florida feel like you like to get when you go down there, but there's definitely options and opportunities outside that just my family seems to really enjoy.
Do you go just as often now that you're DVC members?
Yeah. So we were supposed to do, the last time we were there was in February. So February, I want to say it was like February 18th. And then, the resort closed down a couple weeks later. And then we had a big trip planned in April that got canceled. We were actually going to stay at the Beach Club on DVC and bringing some family members that had never been before, which I was personally really excited about. Like nothing's more fun for me than taking friends or family members and really just showing them why we like it so much without really overdoing it. And like, for example, last Halloween, worked a trip up with 3 other families on the block. So we had like 20 people, and we all went down together for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. And I had everything set up. And, for the adults, we had every place that we could grab a cocktail and the nice restaurants while the kids ran around the park. And, everybody wants to go back because it can be a lot of fun. It doesn't have to be, I feel really bad when you hear families say, well, I did it. I hope I don't ever have to do it again.
Right.
Because it doesn't need to be like that at all. And I always tell people to, try not to overdo it and tell yourself you're going to go again. And that way I think you'll enjoy it even more. You don't feel like you have to put in those 12, 14-hour days and really just wear yourself out.
Oh, that's a great point. Enjoy what you can do comfortably.
Exactly.
You don't want to drive yourself or your family into the ground. Sounds like you did it the right way. And I will say, on your February trip, I remember you were sending me some pictures, and every one of them, you look like you were having a great time.
Yeah, we had a blast. Yeah, I also think it's, if you're going to be there for a week, carving a day or a day and a half, maybe even 2 days, and just staying at the hotel.
Yes.
It really becomes a vacation then, right? And these hotels are so incredible.
They're incredible. They're relaxing. You need a day to sleep in, at least a couple days, because you're up so late.
That's right. That's right.
And then enjoying the restaurants, the pools, Geyser Point. Oh, you're preaching to the choir, Brian.
Yeah, one of our favorite things to do is when we became DVC, we bought season passes because, when you do the math, it can work out if you're going to get down there enough. And so we had the park hopper, and the park hoppers are incredible. I know they don't have them right now, but the idea that you could be at Magic Kingdom, but know that you're going to end up at Epcot for a great meal later on in the night. It's just such a great thing,
Oh, I need a vacation with you, Brian.
we would have a good time.
Oh, we'd have a great time. Sure. Have you guys, before we get on to what your upcoming trip, have you ever taken a Disney cruise?
We have. Yeah, we've been on several Disney cruises.
Nice.
And equally love them, and I hope there's a day where we can get back on one. We've done 3 Disney cruises, different parts of the Caribbean, and then a very short one that was Key West, NASA, and Castaway Key, and love that. And if that's another great example of you hear people say, I don't want to get on a Disney cruise with all those kids, and I tell you, my wife and I pretty much carve out the whole trip for ourselves. We know right where we're going to sit when the boat's at sail. Up on we have the same spot we go to every time, and then the restaurants hitting Remy's. That place is phenomenal, and we really, that place is so good.
Right,
we really take advantage, and the kids just kind of go off and do their own thing. They just have so much fun.
Well, the kids are so occupied with all the kids club activities.
Yeah.
That we have to make it a rule. Yeah. You probably have to do the same thing. You have to have dinner with us. Other than that,
absolutely, yeah. Except for the really, the dinners they can't go to, where you got to be 18 and older. But
right,
we really have a good time. And again, I come back from that relaxed because Christy and I are able to carve some time out pretty much every day, and then we've done some really cool excursions, and the food. I mean, it's everything Disney. I would never go on a cruise that size that wasn't Disney. It's incredible what they do, and how special they make you feel, and how clean it is, and just how perfect everything is.
Have you done an Alaskan Disney cruise?
Have not.
Oh,
on the docket.
Yes,
it's pretty amazing.
You got to tuck that in the back of your mind, because that was an amazing cruise.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something we want to do and get up there and do. I'd like to do an Alaskan cruise and maybe stay up a little bit longer up there if that were possible, to really get out and do an excursion for a couple of days.
Oh, yeah, that'd be an amazing trip. Anyway, Brian, what's your upcoming trip? What are you planning on doing?
Yeah, so we'll, like I said, we'll see how it goes. It was pretty last minute. We have a cabin, actually, which we're totally pumped about. We're heading down on a Sunday, really quick trip. Down on a Sunday, back into Tuesday. The idea was on a day when we know we'll be empty, which a Monday seems like it would be empty. Animal Kingdom seems to show low volume when you look at some of these reports. And the idea is, we're going to fly in on a Sunday. We're on a flight that's probably less than 50% capacity. The crazy thing, Tim, right now is these tickets are nothing. I mean, it's $95 for a direct flight down round trip.
Yes.
And totally refundable. It's incredible. So, we're going to go down on a Sunday, spend the whole day in the cabin, at the pool, Geyser Point on Sunday, and then hit the Animal Kingdom, which is one of our favorite parks. We absolutely love Animal Kingdom. And I think Animal Kingdom during these times could be a really good park because, you've got the different zoos and the different walks. probably not as many rides as some of the other parks, but there's so much stuff to do outside that's still open,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like that would be a good place we could spend a full day at. And we love the food at the, we like to hit the Yak and Yeti. And, there's a little secret to the Yak and Yeti. Do you have a Landry's card?
I've heard about their Landry's restaurant. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So for $25, you can get a Landry's card and become a lifetime member. And when you give them that card, they have to seat you within 20 minutes. So what's great about that is you don't have to plan like another reservation that you have to work your life around when you're in the park, right? You can pretty much show up whenever you want, and you're going to get sat with your party of 6 or less in less than 20 minutes, which is pretty cool.
That's an awesome tip.
And it works at T-Rex, and it works at the Rainforest. Those are also Landry's restaurants. So we plan on spending the whole day at Animal Kingdom, and then Monday night we've got a reservation at the California Grill. So we take the boat from Wilderness Lodge over to the California Grill, and it's at a really good time. So we should see the lighting of the castle when they do the Christmas movie on there, and maybe they'll have fireworks. I've heard, I think, from you guys, they're starting to test fireworks again. I'm not sure what that's for. And then Tuesday, sometime in the afternoon, we're heading back to Virginia. So a real quick, structured trip where I think we can definitely stay safe. It won't be our typical trip, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I actually think it'll be relaxing too, given we'll have the pool and the lodge on sort of both ends around the park, around Animal Kingdom while we're down there.
It sounds like you've got a very well planned out for doing the Disney thing during the pandemic. A lot of outside activities.
Yeah. I think it's the best we can do, right? The only thing that would really, I think, stop us at this point is, things are moving in different directions depending on where you live and where things are going. So, we'll be sensitive to that, but the family's known that we may cancel this thing at the last minute, and everybody seems pretty cool with it. So
yeah, and as you kind of hinted at earlier, everyone's making it very easy to cancel in case something like this does happen. You have to worry about losing, deposits, airfares, that whole kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's pretty convenient. I think when you cancel within 31 days at DVC points, they sort of get locked into the use year, but we'll definitely find time to use them. So that's not a major concern.
Well, I'm hoping we can get you to do a post-trip report after you get back.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Yeah, I would love to do that.
Brian, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. A lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people don't know listening, that can I say that you're a biotech executive, and would that be correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So you might have some insight on the whole COVID thing, the pandemic thing, and we've got a lot of good news recently. I was hoping maybe you could tell us something about that. Like, is everything really looking as good as some of the things we're hearing on the news?
No, absolutely. I think this is an amazing time. Given all the pain and suffering going on in the world right now, with the two drug companies, Pfizer and Moderna, have both reported vaccine results in phase 3 clinical trials of 95% efficacy. And that's a really big deal. That means that basically if 50% of the population or greater can get vaccinated, we can really get control of this thing. And within 6 months, get back to some resemblance of how we were living, and start to get things under control, and rebooting restaurants in a way that restaurants deserve to get back into business, and maybe even going to movies and traveling again, the way we were all comfortable traveling. But it's what these two companies have done. It's in many ways it's the equivalent of putting a human on the moon, but only given maybe 3 to 5 years to do that. In this case, they've had less than 6 months to really develop a therapy or using a new technology that's never been proven out in humans before for this. heroic innovation and entrepreneurship to pull this off. And I don't know if the general public appreciates that. I don't necessarily know why they would, because it's not really how it's pitched in the media and so forth. But this is amazing, like what these companies have done and how the government has partnered with them to give them the resources to really pull this off. And Tim, you and I were talking on the side for this.
Mm-hmm.
If this would have been 2 or 3 years ago, we wouldn't have a vaccine 6 to 9 months later. We would have been developing a vaccine using a traditional therapeutic approach that we've done. And it could have taken up to 2 years, if not longer, to do that. And that would have been a lot more pain and suffering. So it's a very exciting time. And now we just need to get the vaccine distributed, and we need people to take the vaccine.
I have a question. I'm not sure you can answer this, but I'll ask because we have Moderna working on a vaccine and Pfizer working on a vaccine.
Yeah.
Will there be like a winner and they will just make the one, or could both of them end up being approved and you could just there'll be 2 vaccines out there? How's that kind of work?
Yeah. So the approach to making the vaccine is really very similar for both companies. The way these new vaccines are going to work is essentially what they're going to do is they're going to inject a piece of the virus's code that codes for what's called the spike protein. Okay. That's the part of the virus that kind of wreaks havoc. This code gets into your cells, and then your cells are going to make that spike protein. But the spike protein without the rest of the virus is completely harmless. And once your cells make that spike protein, your body's going to build an immunity to it. The way we used to do it is you would take a dead virus or a part of the virus and you would inject that into the patient, and then your body would build an immunity. Well, it takes a long time to make those viral particles. By just making this code, you can do it in really a couple months, as opposed to what would have taken a year plus to do it. And both companies taking the same approach. Both are going to get approved. There's a high likelihood they're going to get approved. But then there's a couple other companies in Europe and other companies around the world and even the US that are also taking the same approach. And what's going to happen here is that there should be enough vaccine, and given that both are 95% efficacious, it's not really going to matter which one you take. What's going to matter is that you get an opportunity to take the vaccine when your time comes. So there'll be multiple shots on goal and multiple opportunities for the world to really get access to these vaccines.
Oh, that's awesome. 'Cause I just thought for the longest time that, whoever got it first came up with, the formula, to use a term I'm sure is not correct. Then all the other companies would make the same one. So that's awesome.
No, there's actually 40 plus, I believe, shots on goal right now for vaccines. So yeah, it's sort of an all hands on deck. It's, like with the flu vaccine, there's multiple distributors of the flu vaccine and different variants around different parts of the world that are being made. So at the end of the day, it's this is really an all hands. Keep pushing as hard as you can to make sure that the whole world gets vaccinated.
Wow. So there's really no reason that like any of these would be unsafe to take at any point after they've gotten full tested and fully approved, as far as you can know.
Yeah. So once the FDA is an incredible government agency. I know they sort of get a bad rap sometimes, but I think one of the reasons, one of the biggest challenges with the FDA is that it is so hard to get a therapy approved by the FDA. Other parts of the world will approve new therapies on far less clinical trial data than the FDA does. And sometimes those drugs that are approved in other parts of the world aren't necessarily safe. And you don't learn that till later. The FDA is all about safety. Obviously efficacy, the drug needs to do what it's supposed to do, but it's got to be safe. And they just don't take shortcuts, particularly today. There's no room to take shortcuts. There's so much at stake. So, if the FDA says these therapies are safe, or if there are side effects, they're going to disclose those. But, you think about the flu, Tim, right? The flu vaccine. I mean, you've had it, I've had it. You get it every year. And, sometimes you kind of feel sick after you take it. That's a pretty common side effect, really, with any injection and a lot of the vaccines we take. And you may see something like that, but something that if these vaccines were doing harm beyond efficacy, there's no way they would be approved by the FDA. And I hope the general public appreciates that when it comes time to do this.
I think it's amazing that I'm hearing by the end of the year, there's going to be, vaccines out there that are going to be approved, and the end of the year is only like 5 or 6 weeks away, Brian.
Yeah, no, I watched a grand rounds today by Fauci, and he laid out the timetable for everything and who's going to get the vaccine. But there will be between 10 and 20 million U.S. citizens vaccinated by the end of the year.
Wow.
It's incredible. And it's going to be the ones that are high priority in terms of frontline, not all frontline. Depends on what it means in terms of you being frontline. And then some of the real serious at risk. And then it sort of tapers down from there. And, as you can imagine, I think the last group to get vaccinated are going to be the youth, because they respond different to the virus, and it's not a high priority right now. But it's a pretty aggressive plan. And, by June, the majority of those at risk in the U.S. should have been vaccinated if they wanted to take the vaccine. That's
awesome. I know we're talking a lot about COVID here, so if you're not into that, I'm sorry, but I find this fascinating.
No, it's half the time we cancel, it's because I'm jumping on a plane because of my job, which is all biotech. So
right.
I'll talk about anything.
Hey, I'm doing a podcast. You're trying to save the world. There's a little difference there between the two. But one more vaccine question, because it just popped in my head.
Sure.
How soon from the time you get the vaccine are you considered immune to COVID-19? From what you have heard.
So with both of these vaccines, you have to get a booster. Right. So it's really important that not only do you take the first shot, you come back, 3 to 4 weeks later and get your booster shot. And that shouldn't be a big deal, because, you remember when you were vaccinated, you always had to get your booster.
Right. Yep.
And our kids are boosters and so forth. So I think what we'll see, it's probably like a month to 2 months after that, you should be good to go. I think what will happen, though, is that they're going to encourage people to still wear masks after they've been vaccinated, practice social distancing, and, just for the rest of the year, suck it up a little bit more, right? Don't think you're Superman and invincible, but know that wearing a mask, social distancing, getting on, businesses can reopen and stuff like that. It's just, it's probably going to be the social responsible thing to do. And I think that's what you'll see, coming down the pipe after these vaccinations start to go out. All of us are going to have to wear masks and stay socially distanced until everybody's been vaccinated anyway. So that takes us at least into June, July.
Right.
And then, another 6 months as we move into the next flu season and the next COVID season, for that matter, right? It's going to probably be one of these seasonal things as well. It's not like it's just gone, but, you should definitely have comfort that that the elderly will be protected, that you'll be protected, and you can get back on with life just a little bit different.
Well, that's awesome. With some light at the end of the tunnel, which is what we've been looking for. So.
Oh, absolutely. This is, it's incredible. This is, and I think you're seeing it. I think you see the stock market reacting to this. This is a big deal. Now, if they would have said the phase 3 clinical trials, the efficacy was 70%, we would have probably had a big issue on our hands, because that would have meant that north of 75% of the population would probably have to be vaccinated for this thing to have an impact. And that would have been really hard.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a very exciting thing.
Well, Brian, can we get you to come on in a few weeks after you get back from your trip? We can talk about your trip.
Yeah, and if I don't get back, I'll come on anyway and tell you what we had hoped to do.
That's right. This is where we would have been. We'll just Photoshop your picture everywhere, and we'll post that with the show.
Yeah, right. This is the hot tub at the cabin that I pulled off the internet.
that we would have really enjoyed.
Yeah. No, I hope I can join your podcast more often. I love listening to you guys. I really enjoyed listening to the Splurge episode you guys did very recently, there were a lot of common things that I think I share with your colleagues who are on your podcast. And yeah, there's so many fun things you can do, where you just, it really can feel like a vacation, even though you're in this park with all these people. And but I think a lot of that comes with just having gone so often, like you and most of the folks you talk to, and it just becomes a different way of vacationing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it can be very enjoyable.
So before we go, what's your number one splurge?
Oh man,
not as easy as you think, is it?
Number one. I think I have like 10 in the top one there. So one of the things that we really like to do, Christy and I, and then we did it with our friends when we took everybody last October, in the fall of 2019, is we like to go to Epcot, and there's a wine cellar in the back of Italy. Have you ever been there?
I don't think I have.
Okay, and gosh, for some reason, the name of this place is escaping me. So in the back of Italy, next to the restaurant, but not Napoli pizza, is a wine cellar. And we go in there, we let the kids just run and have fun around Epcot. And it used to be just Christy and I go in there, but we went in there with a total of 10 people, so 5 couples. And it's dark, and they've got wines from all over Italy. I mean, really good stuff.
Ooh.
And the charcuterie and the cheese boards. And everyone in there is obviously from Italy. And we get lost there for like 2 or 3 hours and just have an absolute blast. And it really feels like, one, you're in Italy, and it doesn't even feel like you're in Epcot. And not that there's anything wrong with being in Epcot,
mm-hmm.
but it is a neat place. And I have to... It's kind of like, is it La Cava, the one in Mexico?
Oh, uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's got that dark setting like the Tequileria in Mexico, but it's a wine cellar. It's absolutely spectacular, and you don't need a reservation. I think very few people know about it because we've always been able to go in there and get a table. And it's a great splurge.
You hit me with charcuterie.
Yeah, charcuterie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's that place. We like going into the little tequila, the place in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Another great place to kind of hide. Although that's not a secret anymore,
No, it's pretty well known.
Sometimes a line wraps out forever. It's kind of ridiculous, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, but yeah. So there's a secret for you, and I'm trying to find it online for you. Wine cellar, and I'm sitting here typing in as quick as I can. Oh, Tutto Gusto Wine Cellar.
Oh, I think I have heard of that.
Yeah, spectacular.
Oh,
another great place to grab a beer and some charcuterie also is at Hollywood Studios, the California beer and wine bar. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is it Baseline Tap House?
Baseline Tap House. That place is awesome.
I've heard fantastic things about that too.
Yeah, another place you don't need a reservation. I'm big fan of just being able to walk into somewhere and not have to worry about lines.
And it's outside there.
It's great. You watch people and relax, get a good cold beer, a glass of wine. Super nice.
Yeah, no better place to watch people than Disney World.
It's pretty fun. And like I said, I just feel so bad for the family with the kids melting down. And, we've never had that experience. But I know it happens. I feel bad when you see that. But
yeah, it does. But, we're here to hopefully steer people away from doing something like that. So
Exactly.
Oh, Brian.
Exactly.
Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really enjoyed it.
Likewise. I look forward to talking to you again.
Oh, you'll talk to me again. Everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott, Facebook, Twitter, the website, ResortLoop.com. Thinking of booking a trip? Check out ResortLoopTravel.com. Everybody, please go out there and share the gateway to the magic. Brian, how do we wrap up a show?
See you, everybody. Have a magical day.
Vacation memories will stay with you and your family for a lifetime. The Resort Loop Travel Group was created with this in mind. Our fee-free services will relieve you of the stress and confusion of finding and booking the best vacation at the best price. After booking, we will continue to monitor for ways to save you even more on your vacation. We will check for any upcoming packages and discounts to save you as many vacation dollars as possible. Resort Loop Travel Group, gateway to your magical vacation memories. Get a quote, or for more information, visit ResortLoop.com.